So here's what I think ultimately will happen. When his term is done, he will just end up still living there. And more than likely, the Trump organization will rent out Mar-a-Lago for whatever the new president is, and they'll have to stay down there because nobody puts in a 90,000 square foot ballroom for the next guy.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And who builds a $350 million expansion onto a house they're supposed to move out of? Seriously, who does that? A visionary, a narcissist, or a squatter with delusions of monarchy?
Nobody takes the time to do, nobody, unless you're flipping houses, unless he's Ellen and Portia and just flipping houses and whoever the next person is. But I can't imagine, the idea that they're going to build a 90,000 square foot ballroom for 2 state dinners. And then he's going to be like, all right, see ya.
Nobody's going to succeed him. He's going to succeed himself. Let's just be real. He's not building that ballroom because he's planning on leaving. He's not going anywhere, and nobody's going to get him out of there.
You don't spend that kind of money on marble staircases and a new ballroom if you plan on handing over the keys. You do it when you're planning to glue yourself to the furniture. Every chandelier, every bunker door, every gold leaf toilet screams the same thing. This man isn't leaving.
By the way, the Supreme Court says you can't run again. He will just ignore the courts. And I'm happy to see Marco Rubio. I thought Steve Witkoff was our Secretary of State, so I'm happy to see that he's appeared and popped up somewhere. But he's not going to be the nominee. J.D. Vance is not going to be the nominee because Donald Trump is not going anywhere. And I understand that sounds crazy and wacko, but think about all the other crazy, wacko things that this president has done that we could not believe he'd ever do. And you see why he's going to run again in 2028, and he's not going anywhere unless the ravages of time take him away. He's not leaving that White House.
And the media still calls it crazy. I know this sounds crazy. One analyst actually said, but the signs are there. He may never leave. Yep, no kidding. The only crazy part is how many people are still pretending that this is normal. You don't build a bunker to host dinner parties. You build it because you plan to ride out the end times in style, preferably while your supporters storm the gates for an encore. Now they're already asking, what happens if he refuses to leave? What happens? We've seen this movie before. He loses, he lies, he screams fraud, he gets people killed, then he blames everyone else. Donald Trump treats the Constitution like a cocktail napkin at Mar-a-Lago. He's betting the country's too exhausted to push back, too distracted arguing about gas stoves to notice the coup coming through the front door.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
And then there's Steve Bannon, America's favorite basement ghoul, out here saying there's a plan for Trump 2028. You think that's a joke? He's already got merch. Trump 2028 hats sitting right there in the Oval Office. They say it with a grin just to see if you'll flinch. And when you don't, they move the line again. That's their game. Toss a grenade, call it sarcasm, then make it law.
We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term.
So here we are, the ballroom's rising, the bunkers being sealed, and the grifters are out front selling souvenirs for the end of our democracy. It's easy to laugh at the absurdity of it all until you remember who's paying the price. The people who believed him, the people who trusted him, the same ones standing in food bank lines while he installs gold trim on his bunker walls. And first off, when you're talking about Steve Bannon, this right here is what they're doing. When Donald Trump says something, everybody shrugs it off like, he's joking, he's kidding. But then they do it every single time. That's what they're doing, is testing us, seeing how much they can get away with, how far they can push it before anyone shows any outrage. And if nobody pushes back, they just keep on that path. And that's what they're doing. That's why Steve Bannon is saying that Donald Trump's going to run again in 2028. And the sad part about it is that now everybody's pretty much like, well, I guess he's going to run in 2028 when the law says no. But Donald Trump doesn't give two about the rule of law. And once again, all you people out there, especially you Republicans, you better pay attention, because Donald Trump doesn't give two about the Constitution. But what is in the Constitution that you care about more than anything? And the reason why I say this is because it's the only thing you ever give a shit about. Guns. That's it. And make no mistake about it, the moment that Donald Trump feels that he will not be able to stay in power unless they take the guns, then they're going to take the guns. What they're saying right now with Donald Trump's going to run again in 2028 is that they don't care if it's wrong. Steve Bannon is a horrible person. A horrible person. He's a scab, like a scab you peel off your elbow when you slip and fall. That's what this guy looks like. He is a scab. He is a horrible person who doesn't give two about our democracy and is out here proudly saying, we don't care. Remember, if they can kill parts of the First Amendment, which is what they're doing, they can kill the Second Amendment. They can kill the Fourth Amendment. They can kill the 19th Amendment. You better pay attention. They may even start talking about coming after gay marriage. They're cutting away everything that protects Americans in this country. And oh, by the way, the biggest Trump supporters are the ones at the bottom, the ones that rely on SNAP benefits. And you better understand that SNAP benefits are being withheld. They're not going to show up in November. But do you know that money has already been approved and it's already sitting in an account? That's right, it's there. The Republican Party and Donald Trump have decided that they want to punish people. And that's how they're going to do it, by not allowing the poorest of the poor to eat. Once again, these are the biggest Trump supporters. They come from places where the majority of people rely on food stamps and SNAP benefits, where all of their children rely on school lunches. If you do it away with free lunches where I come from, southern West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, you wouldn't even fill a classroom with kids who can afford to pay. They don't give a because at the end of the day, it's about them, the powerful, the elite, the billionaire class. Folks, listen to me. If you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, it's time for us to stop allowing this garbage to happen. It's time to demand that the billionaire class start picking up the slack. The working class citizen has carried this country for the past 55 years, while billionaires have paid almost nothing in taxes. They hide their money in offshore accounts and get away without paying less than the people who work for them. That's reality. The Walton family, one of the richest on earth, owns Walmart, and yet our tax dollars subsidize their low wages. We're the ones who make sure the people who work at Walmart have any health care at all. If you still think that Donald Trump gives a about you, you better start waking up. If you think for 1 second that Donald Trump cares about you and you're light brown to dark brown, you better start paying attention, because he doesn't. And that's a fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.